All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Koyomimonogatari, Episode 1. All right.
When was the last time we got an arc that was officially in name and purpose for our main character?
I don't think we've ever had one, actually.
Yeah.
I think the part that's kind of, exciting about this is that it's his first name. So
That's true.
There's
That
this feeling of it being a little bit more personal, a little bit more kind of slow. But then I think about the fact that these are supposed to be shorter episodes.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, maybe some things were going on with Shaft where they're, wanting to do it in this setup or what have you. Or maybe the way the light novel is set up in that there was a lot of mini chapters or something.
I could definitely see that happening. Yeah.
But I mean, Shaft has been killing it just thus far with just making this a wonderful experience. So I very much would like to see some form of just internal Araragi focus and maybe go back a little bit to his family. I think that we've had a lot of stuff teased specifically with his parents. There was the stuff that was giving them a little bit of a spotlight in the plot of things with regards to the Ogi formula stuff, and that was kind of a big deal.
Yep. I would definitely love to see more Mamaragi. One of the things, I have no idea where this will fall as far as timeline and stuff goes, but what this makes me think of, since we're into the third act and whatnot, is that Kizu was chronologically at the beginning, and that was definitely an Araragi arc, even though Shinobu was also there.
Sure.
So is this going to be sort of close to that sort of ending point for the series, because we had entrance exams being very much a thing at the end of Owari. So don't know.
To put another spin on it, because I could see that being the case, I could actually see it being a really fun way to explore a little bit more of the beginning stages of him entering high school.
Oh.
Kind of thinking about the idea of, we got recently in Owari a lot of stuff with regards to him pre-Kizu.
Yes.
And I think it would be cool to maybe bridge even a little bit more of that gap, just to show maybe some things going on in his home life, because there's a little bit of this mystery surrounding Araragi, and not really a true mystery in that we don't know the answer, but some of the details regarding how his family dynamic works, or how it might have changed, if any, based on how he dramatically changed over the course of high school, because he had a lot of stuff in the bening of the story that we've more recently kind of brought back into the light.
Privy to,
that things were not doing well, and if anything, it feels a little bit like he has found some balance, some really good balance over the course of his wonderful journey thus far. But he has also been relapsing a little bit.
Right.
It is weird to call it actually relapsing, but based on what we got in the last episode of Owari, I have very worried feelings regarding Araragi. So, and because it's a mixed thing here,
right? Because the stuff of not focusing on his family, is that something where it's showing that there's maybe some trouble there and that needs to be focused on, or whatever? Maybe Araragi's avoiding that, or just that it's normal stuff, so Araragi doesn't bother adding it to the story, kind of thing.
Right. In some ways, I think he's got a lot of things that he's accomplished, and he has a lot of people that he's not necessarily daily connected to, but he's spending a lot of time, with them for big chunks at specific times. But I could see the family being a big focus. Also, potentially just doing some stuff with just him and Senjugahara doing dating life.
Yes, please. Thank you. I would love very much so much.
I would very much love just even if it was just a passing thing in like an episode, just like, let's just have them just spending some time together. That could be pretty cool.
Maybe an episode just dedicated to like a study session, actually studying, so then getting ready for entrance exams.
None of our theories though go with this really moving too far into the future. This is really something where it's probably just a form of either we're going to go directly after what happened at the end of Owari, or we're going to jump back.
Yeah, because it seems like all the arcs recently have been setting up Araragi's, like, the focus onto Araragi's struggle, like, thematically and stuff, in a very, like, present way. If there's there's stuff that he needs to deal with now. There's stuff that he's dealt with in the past. But, boy.
But if anything, I would love to have a little bit of that just kind of more
relaxed, or
maybe relaxed, but I would say more just kind of internal kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like not as much of the internal focus, or maybe an internal perspective on things that happen in his environment at key points in his life, but more of the, hey, we get perspective because we're the audience to just look a little bit internally to where he's at.
Yeah,
but then
how he's doing.
Right, but then maybe have a choice character like Shinobu, or maybe a family member or something who can kind of be that mirror, pun intended, for Araragi, because he's been having some things with mirrors.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, we're going to be starting the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Ooh. Wait.
Hold on. Wait. This is the Shiro OP.
Yeah, this is one we haven't heard in a long time. Koyomimonogatari, okay.
So,
yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Hanakawa focus. That could be...
I mean, that
could be awesome.
That's always good. Oh, and that would make a lot of sense, too, then, why previous to this, we saw something that was happening in conjunction with Shiro,
Right. So maybe we're continuing linearly from the end of Shiro to build up maybe back to Ogi formula, maybe?
Potentially.
Like, that could be pretty cool.
I gotta say, I always really loved this OP and just sort of the relaxed, like, tone of it.
Because wasn't when we saw Hanakawa, like, much later, like, she was, like, going out and about?
Yeah.
Because that was the Hitagi end stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Koyomi Stone.
Whoa. We're back here. April 11th.
Wait,
this is the
time?
beginning, yeah. Whoa, nostalgia.
Huh.
Yeah. Wait, this feels kind of meta.
Okay.
All right.
I'm really curious what needs to be explored at this point in time still. Sure.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Been a while since we've seen Shinobu in that pose.
I just can't wait to see Oshino again as well. Hey! Good to see you, buddy.
Wait, stone and God? What if this was somehow related to Hitagi Crab before that even happens?
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Debate.
Yeah, this whole thing here. Okay.
This is a light novel series, not a manga. Wait, is this going to be getting into the Shirahebi Shrine or something?
So why'd you say that first, buddy? Poor Shinobu.
Yeah.
We're gonna push you on a journey to figure that out for yourself, Aragi.
That line again. Okay.
Ha ha ha. We get that right now.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So someone in one of the classes that, has to do with the creation of it, then...
Okay.
Seems logical.
Gotcha.
Interesting. That's talking about the relationship of, because of the interchanging aspect between the two. Yeah. Is it a shrine because of the stone, or does the stone make it yeah.
Okay. And then people started just doing that because it was there.
I'm getting a very interesting connection actually to the Shirahebi Shrine. Oh,
okay.
Oh, we're getting into the idea of his whole thing of having trouble remembering some stuff.
Maybe.
Oh. Yeah. This shadow. Nice. That was cool. Wow. Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
It did change. Oh.
Huh. Interesting.
Okay.
So are we going to be getting an episodic stint for Monogatari here?
Because of how the finality regarding this, I feel like we're just going to get a bunch of little mini Araragi stories.
Right.
But I got some very specific vibes regarding the fact that this did kind of feel like some kind of thing that could connect to the Shirahebi Shrine. So,
And given that the ED shows a bunch of the different girls, it's probably going to be something where it will go throughout the story. Yeah. We might actually see Hachikuji.
We might,
again.
yeah.
Oh. And then it'll probably be recycled OPs based on where in the story it is.
We're getting everyone
on. Yeah.
And now it's repeating. Mm-hmm. Okay.
A wild Yotsuki appears.
Yeah. All right, well, that's the first episode.
Yep, and we've got an episodic formula for Koyomi, I'm guessing, as this section, which, cool.
It definitely feels like it would be a bit strange to continue from this mini story of sorts linearly in the next episode.
Yep, it wrapped up things very succinctly.
Right. If anything, I understand at least a little bit. I believe I understand why this section is called Koyomimonogatari if we're going to have a story like this. Because this feels very simple. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of a bit where Hanakawa and Araragi are having a conversation. Mm-hmm. Hanakawa was talking about some stuff. Araragi felt kind of aloof or something, and then she starts talking about like some ridiculous things, and then he's like, wait, what? I wasn't listening. I lost track. And then like she kind of maybe wanted to talk about this all along or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't really have too many theories regarding why she drew the attention onto this. Well, beyond just the immediate stuff that was given in the episode.
I mean, if anything, what happened in like summation in this episode, there was the whole mystery aspect of it, but it was solved pretty quickly. Right. It was something where Araragi put effort into something, deemed the effort for that thing to be, worthless or whatever, right?
Yep.
And was going to throw it out, but then decided to instead put it in a flower garden, and it turned into something better, something that other people deemed beautiful, and potentially him as well at a later point in time.
It turned into something beyond what it actually was. Right. And that's the whole Oshino Meme's, question, what was the relationship of the whole thing? Was it the chicken or the egg, or was it, know?
And if anything, the way that seems like it would tie into this, given where this is in the story timeline, is that Araragi was just dealing with, being suicidal and all of that stuff. So him then dealing with something with the person who saw him in that state, where he took something that he put energy and effort into and went to get rid of it. But as he was about to get rid of it, he then basically a serendipitous, thing happened and caused him to not. And then he ended up being glad that he didn't.
Right. Well, and then when he finds it again and he realizes, and that's the thing. We don't know whether he realized that it was his all along or whether he was lying, but I would assume that he forgot because it just wasn't something that was important to him.
Right.
Immediately he destroyed it. Immediately he went and broke it down and threw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Which is, that's interesting. I don't really have any specific thoughts on that yet, but I did notice a couple little parallels of some things that felt a little bit kind of odd. Oddity. But that was that Hanakawa's observations regarding why it was put there. Basically that in the result of it being put there, it then became a thing where someone would come up and worship it. And Hanakawa was already like gendering the person that was going up there to do it. She was doing a couple things that made her seem like she knew a little bit more than what was going on there. But it just reminded me a little bit of the idea of the Shirahebi Shrine. And, we've got this whole setup with, trying to find a god for the shrine. And it just, I don't know. I see a couple things there that felt a little bit like, there's some...
like, if it didn't go the angle of that Araragi made this, little house shrine thing, then I would have definitely... I originally thought that it was going to be the shrine. And that Araragi that's why he thought it was familiar.
Well, right. But I wasn't meaning that it was an intentional thing. I'm just talking about little accidents regarding the fact that, sometimes when we express ourselves in some ways...
Especially, it's getting at something deeper that we don't necessarily want to look at ourselves.
Right, exactly. And I'm just meaning that this was a funny coincidence in that regard. But, as far as what does it mean for his character, probably nothing in terms of the immediate analysis I got. But I find it interesting that Araragi seems like the last person to figure out what actually happened.
Right. And granted, Hanakawa has a really good memory, you know, but like, you know, for like, oh yeah, 2 years ago it was here, but it looked different. It didn't have the rock in and things like that. But
given how much she, you know, is in love with Araragi.
Sure. Yeah, you know, that too.
The fact that she, you know, didn't necessarily know that it was him that did all this and yet kind of drew him to this. I don't know.
One of the other things, once they said that Araragi made it, that I was like, I wonder if this is relevant. Given that Araragi, where this is in context with the story, right? He's coming out of this dark place. He's still in it, but you know, he's coming out of some of the worst of it. But it was also specifically a house, right? Now, a house has all these connotations of home and things like that. It ended up getting turned into something else, a shrine and all of that, right?
Right.
But there was this part of me that wondered if that was some aspect of Araragi where there was maybe because of how he was doing himself or how he interacted with his family and felt like he wasn't, you know, like maybe if there was some disruption in his mind there that made him specifically want to destroy this afterwards once he, you know, realized that he built it. That could have just been acceptance or whatever, and it didn't.
Well, everyone at the woodworking thing made a small house.
Right,
so
right.
The choice to build a house wasn't his.
No, right. It wasn't his choice to make it, but his response to the fact that it was, I mean, if you make something in a class and it's no good, you know, you're not exactly motivated to keep it, right?
No,
That's the kind of thing a parent would do, right?
Right.
You know, and from that sense, it would make a lot of sense to just, throw it away before you get home. And a parent can be like, oh, this is so cute, I'm going to keep it forever and ever. And it's like, oh, God,
like,
no, Mom.
Please not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what did you think about Meme's thing about, you know, did it become an oddity from worship or, you know, is it worship because it's an oddity? You know, that Meme was bringing up there.
I don't know. Because Meme has brought up this kind of stuff plenty with oddities in the past. But given the fact that it relates specifically to Araragi, like, because this is early on in the timeline, it might just be that he's saying this because he hasn't said it a bunch yet to Araragi, so it doesn't have that extra meaning yet, you know? But if it's more important that he's saying it specifically to Araragi, maybe it has some aspect of like, hey, reality can be kind of flexible that way and perspective can change a lot, and maybe your perspective on situations can change whether or not something needs to be gotten rid of or not, aka maybe you.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I think that there's another thing there with the fact that there's an assumption that the thing itself is an oddity, and he's like, Araragi, you know, when did you decide basically that this thing was definitively an oddity? If you're then gonna basically make that point there, then, you know, is it, you know, something that was made into an oddity by your excessive focus on it? Like, in some ways, like, this did become, I would say, an oddity, at least a little bit, just by the fact that Araragi kind of, like, hyper-focused on this because Hanakawa gave him basically a mission. And it was like, hey, you know, go do this thing. And he's like, I mean, sure.
And if Hanakawa did know the entire time that he made it, then maybe it was something where she was trying to, I don't know,
like, see what's going on with you, buddy. What
exactly.
Was this about?
Right.
Yeah.
Because their whole dynamic is, especially at this point in the story, is very much one of banter and indirection. Yeah. So,
also, I find this to be something that might be a little bit auxiliary. It's not necessarily important, but I love the way he says it's hard to tell just from your narration, which is basically like a meta way of saying, hey, the audience might not necessarily know exactly what's going on if you're just talking. We need you to show something here.
Right.
And what's kind of, I'd say, interesting about this is it's just bringing up the whole unreliable narrator thing again. Just that hasn't been a thing over and over throughout Monogatari. But this one specifically, it's something where he then says, hey, do an art thing. The thing that he was choosing in the beginning. And then Aragi's like, my quality as an artist is low. My self-esteem is low regarding this thing. And he's like, I didn't ask you to do, you know, he didn't ask him to do anything like that. Then just do a sketch. That'll be fine. And I love that when he says that, he's just like, then that's fine. You're not asking me to do anything of like a specific quality. I'm not going to be judged in that regard.
Right.
And I want to bring up a theory that if Araragi figured it out before Hanakawa told him that he did it, it was something where he didn't want to own up to the fact that this piece of junk was his.
Right.
It's a way of saying, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
This is weird. Yeah. Let's figure this out. Now, that's just a way of looking at it. But I also find it rather interesting that once the drawing is made, which I also got to say is kind of interesting, that, in order to make a drawing of a thing,
you have to have a pretty good memory of it.
You have to have a decent memory of it. Now, he could just... not do... We didn't get huge focus on what the sketch actually looked like.
And they were looking at it for a while before they came here, so, maybe that had some aspect to it, but yeah.
Right. And then Araragi brings this up of saying, to me, the altar just seemed like a place to put the offerings, but when I looked at the shrine itself, it seemed like it was clumsily imitating something. That is such a thing... that is such a specific thing regarding intent...
Right.
That then when he starts going, maybe I saw something like it at a temple somewhere, or some wayside statues. I don't know. I felt like I'd seen its shape before. And the way Meme just kind of smiles like, bro, you just kind of told me everything I needed to know that the sketch didn't even do. So the sketch stirred up the memory within him because it required... actual focus and energy to put into a thing to create it, even if it was just a sketch.
Right.
Then, Meme is just like, well, that's the kind of nugget of wisdom I need to know first. Like, I think you just gave the whole thing away right there.
One of the things I'm curious to see what you think about this. Given that we're getting, one, episodic stuff here.
Sure.
Two,
at least that's what we think it's going to be.
Right. Assuming that this pattern continues, right? Two, where this is in relation to the rest of the story, not chronologically for this episode, but where the story was going when Nisui-san decided, here we'll have some episodic stuff going throughout the, and assuming that the episodic stuff continues, going throughout, I'm guessing, what will be the rest of the show, the series, right? Because that's a very particular storytelling choice. And given that, and that this is shorter, this makes me think, okay, what additional levels of importance can be found within each episode thematically and whatnot to the things that we've been dealing with in the linear or more linear narrative.
Right. Just like drawing a sketch, essentially, as you start to put I would say the pieces, if you will, together to make the sketch a full image, it'll look probably a lot more clear when we've gone a bit more through this section of the story here, I would say. Yeah. Because right now, I think what's just being emphasized is that it's focusing on Araragi, which was something that we got based on the fact that it was Koyomimonogatari. But I think that it's going to be maybe an exploration on the idea of oddities in general and Araragi's relationship to oddities.
One of the other things,
and how he's either creating them via his active, participation in the whole thing there, or if he's basically or if it's more of a perception thing. Basically, where does the inception of the the oddity and what that is kind of come to the point here?
Because one of the things that I could definitely see it being is that this is a primer of sorts for the actual ending of Monogatari.
Totally.
That basically, all right, we've had this crazy story with all this stuff happening, and you've gotten pretty good at figuring out how, the timeline works and everything connects into each other and all that stuff and how things relate to Araragi. But...
Oh, we did get a look at the sketch.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. So that was not too detailed. But because this story is about Araragi, but Araragi is not always the focus, let's go through some things to thematically touch on the journey that Araragi has gone on over the course of the story before we get to sort of the big, finale resolution to his narrative.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Also, I love that that's like a little butterfly or something next to the house there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But yeah, I love that we got a little bit of Oshinomeme. Poor Shinobu just there in the background,
still in her sulking time,
having to deal with this.
Yep.
It's something where I love that Meme just he knows a lot about what's going on, but he needs basically this level of indirect information coming in from other sources to be like, okay, yeah, now I'll give you a little bit of a go check this out. You do the effort. I'm not going to solve this for you.
Right.
Only you can help you. Kind of thing. And then he's like, Hanakawa, solve it for me. And it's kind of interesting, but I like that the fact that they brought it into the school stuff of what was going on there. Yeah. This is interesting. This is a cool little mini story here. But I gotta say, of all the kind of the ways for it to end, the fact that Araragi comes to it
and destroys it.
He runs over to it. The punchline, and it's obviously it was I who made this in woodworking 2 years ago. To put it that way, Araragi, makes it seem like you knew before Hanakawa figured it out for you.
Yeah, it's weird.
I feel kind of bad for the guy because I forgot a little bit of what Araragi felt like in these earlier parts of the story.
Yeah,
there's little things in his verbiage, and you can tell that he was not doing nearly as well as he is, or he has been doing more recently.
Yeah, this very much reminds me of with Neko Kuro, where it was like, all right, we've had this growth, but then we need to go back to before all that stuff happened. But even more so here because it's to almost the very beginning of the story.
Yeah. Did you get any vibe that this is also another instance of his self-esteem being low? I'm sure he was desperately suppressing his laughter.
Yeah, that basically it's another bit of like shame or whatever, where it's he was probably thought I was ridiculous or whatever.
Yeah.
Now I'll take this thing that was ridiculous that I made because I'm ridiculous or whatever, and then I'll smash it and get rid of it so I don't have to deal with that. And on that side of things, it feels very thematically relevant to the stuff that we've been dealing with recently, because it's more things of Araragi being in kind of denial of situations of various degrees and whatnot, and needing to face them, and that it can be kind of a rude awakening when he's forced to face them, and that I'm guessing the finale of this show and his story will be somewhere in the realm of, especially if Ogi's the final boss, him coming to grips with all those things that he doesn't want to,
Yeah,
and then
he's kind of
figuring out some way forward.
Yeah, ignored. I liked the line of, in light of that, going to school without direction can have real consequences.
Yeah.
Doesn't that just feel like the show?
Yep.
That just feels like the show right there.
Yeah.
In some ways, a lot of the characters could fit underneath that line. Basically, there's a lot of characters in this story where they've just stumbled into, in some ways, the story without direction. Who's the most directioned, in some ways, character probably in the story?
The most directioned.
The one who probably has the most confident going forward into the future. It's probably Gain, actually, in some ways.
Sure, that's cheating.
But that's the point, is that in some ways, almost all the characters are just kind of just stumbling forward, trying to figure this out. And the way he makes it, going to school without direction can have real consequences. But isn't part of going to school a little bit to
figure it out
and find direction?
Yeah.
But God, it's kind of enlightening to see younger Araragi, even though this was not that long ago in the grand scheme of things for a life. Really being a different person. He is a very different person at this point than he is now. So good stuff.
That's Koyomi.
Little mini story there. I really am curious to see what the pattern will be going forward.
Right, will it be fairly linear going through the different stories in whatever in their chronological order, or...
I would say that since this one was very near the beginning of the story as a whole, it's probably going to be only moving towards the future.
Right. Which then will make it, if it is something to prime for like the finale segment of the series, then that will make it be a very natural transition once it gets up to that point, because then we'll be able to see his journey a lot clearer.
Right. And maybe it's also another form of what we got in Owari, which is a bunch of basically fill in the gap stories.
Sure.
Because this was like very much like, oh, remember the first episode of Bake, basically?
Right.
Like, this is what they did immediately after that.
Right, exactly.
Immediately in between that.
Yeah, around that time when they would just sort of hang in the room, and talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of things they did.
But there we go, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there, and any level of support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. You can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yep. Wrote a sci-fi novel, in case you haven't heard. It's called Battle Lines, and if you're interested, it's on Amazon. Link in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.